My main role is still designing buildings. You can get all the checklists for sustainability and all that kind of thing. It doesn't give you a memorable, great piece of architecture. The best buildings are buildings that tell a story about what their purpose is, maybe tell a story about the client and how the building came to be on their part. But it's about weaving a story that then creates the architecture. This building is kind of expressing the possibility of the future of air travel. I think challenging the client, keep searching. It's a continuous learning process. That's the great thing about architecture. Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for participating in this interview session. I want to welcome you to this exhibition, Out of Context. I think I mentioned that it presents 7 different projects. They're very different, from a villa in the mountains of Armenia to a train station in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar, 300 kilometers south of Dhaka in Bangladesh. These are very different projects. We are tracing the origins of these projects. I'm talking to all the architects about their inspirations. And what I want to discuss with the delegates, with WAF delegates, is their own concerns with the profession where we are right now, and what inspires you as an architect. What kind of architecture do you like? And so I want to start this conversation with welcoming you to this exhibition. And if you could briefly introduce yourself, what is your role in the profession? What do you do about your company? And what do you do here at WAF?
Yeah, well, I'm Ralph Johnson. I'm the global design director of the firm, but been with the firm for 40 years. And we've grown from a couple hundred people to 2,500 people over that time. So my role has changed slightly. My main role is still designing buildings. And there's all sorts of other organizational things, some of which I do and some of which others do. But I want to keep most of my time with clients and with projects working.
And when did you start with Perkins&Will? What was the year?
1977.
1977.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, so this is close to 50 years.
Yeah, it's
right?
getting on it. Yeah, yeah, that's right. And a lot of changes, of course, in the profession.
I want to ask you, what do you think about WAF? And what is your role right now in this festival? If you participated in the program of WAF before, what do you think it makes WAF different from other festivals around the world?
Yeah, I think I've been doing this with WAF. I've been a juror. I've presented since the beginning of WAF, I think. So it must be...
I think 2008?
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah. Quite a long time. So almost every WAF I've been to. And I think the uniqueness of it is hearing the architects directly presenting their project to an audience and to a jury to get the kind of feedback and get dialogue, personal, direct with the architect. That's unique. And the number of alternative activities you can have in a couple, two or 3 days is pretty amazing. With the type of people you can get to come and present their work and present their ideas. Yeah. So I've been very much a supporter of that over the years. And I've known Paul Finch and Jeremy for a long time. Yeah, personal friends.
What do you think about this moment in architecture? How would you describe it? Do you think we are in crisis, or is it really going in the right direction? What do you think about
I wouldn't say we're in crisis. I'm not sure crisis is what I would put out there. I think it's a very pluralistic environment right now in terms of the different
How
types
is it pluralistic?
I think everyone, there's no internet, like the international style was something that went through the whole profession and lasted for quite a while, right? That's not happening now. I think everyone is doing their own, which I think is good in terms of doing buildings that are responsible and represent the unique cultures that they exist in, rather than having a single approach that goes through the profession.
Well, at the same time, there is a certain consensus now that you can find in the profession that, we now understand what good architecture is
Yeah.
supposed to be. We know what kind of materials you shouldn't touch. We know that, you should be using ecological
Yeah.
materials. There are
Right.
certain
Yeah, we talked about
directions.
this earlier, I think.
Yeah, and so in a way, I would say it's kind of back to international style because all of a sudden we do have a discipline. But
well, I
we
think all
don't
those
really
all
have a
those things
diversity.
are things we should be doing. They don't create memorable or good architecture. I mean, you can get all the checklists for sustainability and all that kind of thing. Doesn't give you a memorable, great piece of architecture.
So what does?
I think creating a meaningful public realm within a particular culture is very important.
And I want to know what kind of architecture do you look for? What kind of qualities of architecture are you looking for in buildings when you visit other architects' buildings? What do you really want to see when you travel, when you
I think
explore
the
architecture?
best buildings are buildings that tell a story about what what their purpose is, maybe tell a story about the client and how the building came to be on their part. But it's about weaving a story that then creates the architecture. That's part of that. We're doing a lot of cultural buildings now, museums and those kinds of things, and the architecture can help to reinforce the story that's being told inside the building in terms of the exhibits or whatever that's happening or the event that happened that the building might be expressing.
Can you give an example? What particular project would you talk about that you've been working on?
We're doing a Civil War, American Civil War
This is in what city?
engagement center in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Vicksburg was in a very important battle in the Civil War, which is 1861 to 1865. So we've been working on a museum to interpret that event and the results of that event historically over time, because it has to do with slavery, the institution of slavery, the ultimate defeat of the Confederate forces, which were pushing slavery, the period right after the Civil War when looked like freedom was going to happen for the slaves, and it went downhill almost for 100 years to civil rights. And so it's taking an event, a particular building, and talking about the importance of this event, not only for the battle itself, but for another 150 years, in an ongoing battle for equality.
Is this a competition?
It was
You
a
win
competition. We won a competition.
Okay, this was national
It was national, yeah.
national competition that you won.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what kind of architecture brings you joy?
Joy is seeing a beautifully crafted building, I guess, and a building that deals with natural light, a building that's part of its site, yeah. But also that's different than part of the site, but maybe different in terms. I know Your theme is out of context, I guess, and I guess you can be out of context maybe, and then create a new context, right? So, but it's not just you're out of context.
Yeah, when I say out of context, what I really mean is that every person I ask would give me a completely different answer. So
Yeah.
it could be within a context of a particular place, but the answers I would like them to be out of context with each other, kind of misaligned.
Yeah.
So this is
I
really
mean, within
the
your
purpose.
within your exhibit.
Within the group of the architects that I am,
Yeah.
presenting and talking to. So I want everybody to give me different answers. That's the meaning of out of context.
Uh-huh.
And so if you were to be more specific, if you could go back into, your own experience visiting the most striking, most memorable architectural projects, experiences, what comes to mind
Oh,
that, everybody you think
Yeah.
as an architect at least should visit to be inspired?
I think Kahn's laboratories that he did
By Louis.
by Louis Kahn, yeah. In terms of the site and the building working together, is just. I think it's always rated the highest on people's what people is that think were the best buildings in the 20th century.
Any other examples?
Other examples for me, I think I like I.M. Pei's the National Gallery in Washington D.C. Yeah, we've been working on a project across from that project on the mall. called
It's
the
a new building?
New building, yeah.
What's the name?
Bezos Learning Center.
Okay.
It's added onto the Air and Space Museum.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is I always look at the Pei building and I'm just amazed by the way the angles that he used, but the angles are totally part of their context of the boulevards of Washington D.C. So it's
The street grid.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a great piece of sculpture, and but anyway, we're doing the building across the way now, and it's added onto the Air and Space Museum. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's called the Bezos Learning Center, and the idea is to teach high school students about space travel, which Bezos himself is very interested in. So this project it's based on galaxies, the form of a galaxy coming out of the center of the Air and Space Museum. So it's like looking. That's the history of air travel. Mm-hmm. This building is kind of expressing the possibility of the future of air travel.
When you start a project, where do you usually look for inspirations?
History and culture, context, that kind of thing. Very much.
What about art?
Art. There are certain artists. I don't know. There's not a particular artist that I look at, but Donald Judd, I think, this is so. The minimalism of Donald Judd and the relation again of in Marfa, in particular.
So his work inspired some of your projects.
Yeah.
Would you say architecture is art?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
Why do you think so?
Because that's historically the art and architecture have always worked together. Maybe now it's kind of not as much the case, but
Architects,
going
let's
back.
talk about it
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah,
Even
right.
if they're inspired by art, they
Yeah.
prefer not to discuss it.
Well, yeah. Inspired means you're doing something. Maybe it comes connotation that you're doing something similar to the artist. It's more maybe by a artistic process or something like that has a similarity.
Do you have a recipe for how to be an interesting architect?
I think challenging challenging the client, challenging the powers that be that you're working with.
So to do something unexpected,
Yeah.
go beyond the brief.
Yeah, but still making something on and not go beyond the brief, but do something that is not totally out without any background to it of where it's coming. So it's understanding context of culture, but not being a prisoner to his a culture, but expressing it, using it as a positive influence on the building.
And finally, I want to ask you, what advice would you give to a young architect?
I would say keep searching. But it's a constant search throughout your life. You never, if you're in school, you're just beginning to learn.
Never be satisfied, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's a continuous learning process. That's the great thing about architecture is that every time you do a building, it's something totally new that you're trying to understand and interpret and create.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.